Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by Andrew and Chris from Boxing Bros UK. If you enjoy this video, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Please do check out Boxing Bros UK as well. They're on the ground at press conferences doing previews, reviews of fights. Please do check them out. Chris, Andrew, good to be joined by you.
Bless
Joshua
you.
Buatsi, Joshua Buatsi, Callum Smith. Um, Brit versus Brit, another fantastic fight taking place in Riyadh on February 22nd. We'll dive straight into it as always. I want Callum Smith. He's reached the top of the mountain before. Achieved loss at super middleweight. Joshua Buatsi, on the other hand, has been around for a while. Hasn't actually been a world champion yet. I want to know, will the winner of this fight win a world title in the future? I want to ask you this in two questions. If Buatsi wins, will he become world champion? If Callum Smith wins, will he become world champion? Chris, I'll start with you. We've got an interesting time in the light heavyweight division because this Bivol Beterbiev era could come to an end in the next couple of months. You could have both or one of the fighters retiring. You could have both fighters moving up and down in different weight divisions. Who knows? There's a lot to unpack. But it's going to be hard for either Bivol or Beterbiev to keep all those governing bodies happy and to not have to let go of one or two belts being undisputed champion. Chris, does the winner of this fight win a world title in your opinion?
The only problem with that question is yes, but only if Bivol and Bateri ever retired.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
It's the only way they'll win the world title.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's a good chance that one of them are going to be able to fight for a world title, um, without having to fight one of those guys. However, there's still some not easy fights in that division. Look, David, we're recording this video before David Benavidez and Dave Morrell face each other on February the 1st. David Benavidez the favorite, but not guaranteed to win that fight. Anthony Yard is still around. He's obviously fighting Lyndon Arthur again in April. Do
Oh God.
you dive a bit deeper for me, Chris? Do you see Buatsi possibly becoming unstuck against one of those guys and not winning a world title, even if he avoids Bivol and Serbiev?
I, I can see him winning, but he's not. I can't see anybody in the light heavyweight division right now that I think they're going to be like a Bivol or Bateri. They're going to be world champion for about 4 or 5 years, loads of defenses. I think that they'll all win belts and lose
Mm,
unless they fight each other. They will lose. Like so, yeah. If you got like Buatsi, Callum Smith, Yardi, um, Benavidez, like they'll all beat each other. Like
mm,
I can't see anyone proper dominating the division. I
yeah,
just think it's just they're all similar in skill. They've all got different attributes, but in the end up they're all can all beat each other. I
yeah.
can't see anyone being dominant. That's my view on it.
All right, fantastic. And Andrew, I'll switch to you now. Do you see the winner of this fight winning a world title?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Chris, I mean, where I do disagree a little bit, and I don't really have much to go on, only out of this obviously super middleweight division, and we haven't really, we'll know more after February 1st with Morel Benavidez. But I think if Benavidez manages to, I've seen some recent stuff with him, and he looks like he's filling into 175 a bit more. And if he can, they did look great, Morel and Benavidez at light heavyweight, their first fights. You know, I don't think they stopped the guys in their first fights, did they? They fought. But I think if Benavidez can manage to find his punching power, that he's a bit of a weight bully. I know he's got that kind of bad reputation as being a bit of a weight bully, but I think Benavidez could be the one in that division when Beterbiev and Bivol retire, or when they do, that could be the one that could go on to dominate. But I think Buatsi, I was a bit of a convert. I mean, obviously, I put my neck on the line again, didn't I? I went for Willie Hutchinson, and it's a great fight. And Buatsi kind of, he bored me to tears for years. And he showed me a bit of something there. He showed a bit of character. He showed a chin. I know Willie Hutchinson's not the biggest puncher, but he showed a chin and some heart. And I thought he navigated that fight really well. And I think he's picking up a bit of momentum. I think there is a possibility the next couple of years if things move the right way for him, that he could potentially win a world title. But again, like Chris said, as long as Bivol and Beterbiev are out of the picture, I think Benavidez could be the one, though.
Yeah,
He could be the stumbling block. So that's kind of where my head's at with it.
it looks tricky. Got another question. Got another question for you, Andrew. I'll ask it to you as well, Chris. If Buatsi wins this fight, he will be the WBO interim world champion. So you would expect him to fight for world title in the next 12 months. We'll see if that happens. The person who is ranked number two in the WBO is Anthony Yard. Where you know, it's one of those many fights in British boxing we've been talking about for a long time, but we've not seen it. I want to know where your guys' heads are at. If in 2025 we finally see that fight, who would win, Buatsi or Yard? Andrew, where's your head at?
Yeah, I kind of made a bit of a assumption there, didn't I, earlier that I've frozen a little bit there. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, fine.
All right. Yeah, I made an assumption there, didn't I, that Buatsi's going to come through Callum Smith. And, Callum Smith's no mug. He's 34 now, I know, and he's had a kind of tick-over fight with Galvan, I think it was, last time out. But I don't know what's left in the tank for Callum Smith. I think this would be a bit of a crossroads fight. I mean, obviously, if Buatsi loses, where does that leave him? But in answer to your question, Yard's a funny one, isn't it? I could go off on a rant about Yard. But was it? Sorry, I've lost. What was the original question? Was it if Yard and Buatsi fight, who wins?
Yeah. In 2025, where's your head at with that?
If you'd have asked me this even 3 or 4 years ago, with the way Yard's career's gone over the last few years, if you'd have asked me this 3 or 4 years ago, I was a bit of a Yard fan, and I'd have probably said Yard. But right here, right now, if they was to fight tomorrow, I'd pick Buatsi 9 times out of 10. I don't know what the F has happened to Yard's career. Tundai mismanaging it. The whole thing with Queensbury going to Boxer on Ben Shalom's shocking stable of fighters, if you ask me. That's a whole other conversation. Yeah. He gets me a bit triggered, Yard, because what potential that guy had. Looks the part, charismatic, power. He could have been a dominant force in that light heavyweight division, and it's been a bit of a disaster last 5 years, boys, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Chris. Give us your thoughts. If we finally see it, which I really hope we do, because otherwise we'll be talking about it forever. Because if it doesn't happen, Buatsi versus Yard 2025. What's your gut feeling?
I'm gonna agree with Andrew. It's got to be Buatsi. He's been active. He's not fought the best opposition, but he's fought people who've tried to come to win. He's fought decent opposition. He's been more active, and Yard, every time he steps up, he loses. And I know, obviously, it's Beterbiev, and Kovalev, the 2 times he steps up and got beat. And then when he got beat off Lyndon Arthur, that was, and his problem is he fights Kovalev when he was not in his prime, but still the champ. And then he goes and fights someone with a losing record for his next fight. You can't do that when you're in momentum of your career, because you're just setting yourself back. You don't learn steel, sharp, and steel. You don't learn anything from them fights. And then he'll do it, and he'll fight journeyman, and then he fights Beterbiev, or he fights journeyman. And Lyndon Arthur, I think he was Commonwealth champ or British champion at the time or something. He wasn't decent, but he was good enough, and he was having a bit of an off day. And you can't blow through someone who's half decent like that. So, and where he's been inactive, and his last performance, he didn't know what he was doing, if he was being an incredible Hulk Mayweather.
Yeah, we were saying this,
yeah. Or he just, is he going to be a boxer? Is he a puncher? Is he a swarmer? What's his style? And he said, I was just having a tear. I just enjoyed it. But he was quite lucky to win that fight, to be honest, because that kid was pinging him all over.
Yeah, and it's a tough one, and it's a tough one because these guys are not young fighters anymore. For all we know, are these guys past the best? Have they got much left? So it's a tricky one. But back to Buatsi and Callum Smith. Chris, put it back on you. What is your prediction for this one?
Um, Buatsi,
Yeah.
Buatsi. I mean, Callum Smith will definitely retire. I just think,
Okay.
like Andrew said before, like Buatsi in the Willie Hutchinson fight, he sort of showed me something different. That he can go up the gears if he needs to. That and he can be a bit mean and be a bit spiteful, and go and take a shot to give a shot and just do all. He just showed everything that you wanted to see from him in all his fights. What's his chin like? Can he get mean? Can he close the show? Like if people are hurt, like because obviously he was such a gentleman. Like if he was really hurting someone, he would like calling for the ref or he'd pull back. Like who did he fight? Was it Bentley? No, it wasn't Bentley. Craig Richards. Like he kind of let him off the hook in that
Yeah.
fight. Like he was too nice, and it's like that's going to get you hurt. So
Yeah.
especially in boxing, and obviously that Willie Hutch. But then that makes me think I think he needs the needle there to get the best out of him because we haven't seen the best because everyone he's fought has been his mate who he's on good terms with. First time he fights someone who's been winding him up, he lost his shit. He was strangling him in the gloves are off and
Mm.
everything. He proper got on. But for some people, it makes them lose focus and be crap. Or on other people, someone does that and it puts them in the zone because they
Yeah.
just want to win so bad and they go like hyper focused. Bit like Jordan when people used to start smack talking him, that's when he starts winning the game when they're losing.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
just some people need that. So, but saying that, I'm going Buatsi for the win. Even though Callum Smith's good, it's not going to be easy, but I think he's going to get through this one. So hope it's
Yeah.
not boring like normal.
Yeah, no, look, we'll see. It has the potential to be a very exciting fight. Two guys who can really punch as well. Andrew,
Yeah.
where's your head at with this? Buatsi or Smith?
Yeah, it's difficult to argue it. I mean, I don't know if I'm reading too much into this as well, but at the press conference, I mean, Chris went up to Callum Smith. He was kind of hiding, sat there at first, and we tried to get a little interview with him, the hustlers that we are, and he was like, "Oh no, I can't remember what." I don't know. I
He said
just got
after the
this
press
feeling,
back.
like, yeah, I just got this. If I was reading into the body language too much, that it felt a little bit like he didn't want to be there or something was
Mm,
missing. Look, maybe he'd had a bad day, maybe he'd had a bad spar, maybe he hadn't had enough to eat that day. Look, there's all sorts of, but we're analysts here, boys, and we have to kind of look into kind of read what we can, and that's what the press conferences are about. I think Callum Smith, like, what's left? How much is left now? I mean, he's no spring chicken anymore. He can punch, obviously. I think the only I see Buatsi winning this as well. I think the only stumbling block for Buatsi is what we've said before, is that he is a nice guy. People have questioned whether he's got that predatory finish. If he can get a bit wound up again, I mean, Callum Smith isn't going to do that to him.
Not going to
But
do
if
it.
he can find that edge, because I just hope that he doesn't go in there against Callum Smith and give Callum Smith too much respect, because Callum Smith's a respected fighter in Britain, in world boxing. And I think if he gives him a bit too much respect, he could come a cropper a little bit, because Callum Smith's no mug.
yeah.
But I expect Buatsi to get a majority decision, a decision in this fight. The momentum's all with Buatsi, isn't it, boys? So I don't think you can look past him, can you?
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's tricky. I'm gonna join both of you. I think this. I've been a big fan of Buatsi. His career has frustrated me.
yeah.
But
Oh,
I'm a big fan of
yeah.
his work. Yeah. Whereas I just feel like Callum's a big fan of Callum Smith as well. But I just think it's been a while since Callum Smith registered a good win. So you do have to question what's left. So we're all in it for Buatsi, but it's another tough one. And what makes this card so great is that I'm sure there are people out there
Great fight,
that want to
top to
win.
bottom, innit?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Great fights,
Yeah.
top
fantastic.
to bottom.
It's fantastic. So we will see what happens. Andrew, Chris, good to be joined by both of you. We will see what happens between Josh Buatsi and Callum
Thanks for
Smith,
that.
and if the winner goes on to
Like and
win the world
subscribe.
title. Thanks, gents.
Pleasure. Cheers, Elliot.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
Paul.
Always a pleasure, my man. Always a pleasure.